This is a great city, right? Well, let's be honest, though. There's one thing this city is missing, and that is good street food. Yeah, unlike most other big cities where you can buy all sorts of great things to eat while you're out on the street, this city has wieners and sausages. It doesn't mean that people in the city, though, aren't making all these special foods. Our food columnist, Sarah Elton, is here to tell us about the Filipino street food that is on offer here in Toronto. If you know where to look. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Okay, I'm dying to hear about this. Tell us about the street food from the Philippines.
Well, my first taste of Filipino street food was a squash and shrimp fritter called the ukoy, and I immediately fell in love. It was a month ago, and I have been thinking about it ever since.
Wow, sounds great.
It was delicious.
Who made it?
A woman named Diona Joyce. She runs a small catering company called Tita Flips, and she specializes in Filipino foods. And a lot of people, when they come to Canada, they are nostalgic for street foods. So she makes a whole bunch of different street specialties as well as traditional recipes. And I tasted her ukoy at the Toronto Underground Market. I think you've heard of the Toronto Underground Market.
Yeah, we actually had an interview about this on Here and Now about a month ago when the first Underground Market was going on. It's such a phenomenon.
Yes, well, the second one's coming up. It's this new food event series that's taking place at the Evergreen Brickworks down in the Don Valley. And it's like a nighttime street food market that takes place once a month. 25 vendors sell different specialties from around the world to well over 1,000 people who come through. And it was started by a woman named Hazel Aviles. She wanted to give really good home cooks and budding food entrepreneurs a chance to really show off their stuff. So I went to the first one last month, and it was sensational. So that's where I tasted the ukoy, and the next one is coming up this weekend, and Diona Joyce will be there once again to make her ukoy.
Tell us about Diona. Who is she?
She has an interesting story. She is an insurance broker. She grew up in the Philippines. She split her time between the northern part of the country and the south, and she came to Canada about 10 years ago to work as an insurance broker here. But she always had this connection to food, mostly through her mother, who ran a specialty peanut business in the southern part of the country. And she grew up spending a lot of time in her aunt's home where the family employed a talented cook. So Diona learned about ukoy from this cook. In fact, she remembers the first time she ever tasted the food one day when she was about 4 years old and she was at her aunt's house.
We were playing mahjong because mahjong is like a favorite pastime for my family in there. And the cook actually made ukoy that day. And I'm not very fond because it's vegetable. And as a kid, I don't really like vegetable, especially squash. But it was crunchy. It's like it melts in your mouth. I thought it was squash, but I didn't believe it was squash. And it was squash. And because I like shrimps too. So it was great. I love it. I made it. So my dad is always like, oh, I need to have some too because it's one of his favorite.
Pay no attention to that growling in my stomach. That sounds delicious. So she ate the ukoy at home, but you said it was a street food.
Yes, it's one of the many, many, many dishes that are part of Filipino street food culture. And Diona explained that street food is a hugely important part of life in the country. And people sell food out of little carts and stands and maybe out of the side window of their house that gives onto a street. And what they sell depends on the season and on the region. In the north, there are more grilled meats, and in the south, there's a stronger Muslim influence. So that means the foods are cooked with more spices and more ginger. Ukoy are an example of this seasonality and the regionality of food. Ukoy is a dish from the north. It is made only when the squash is in season, and that's also why Diona is making it now, because it's squash season.
Yeah.
She also mixes it up a bit here and makes it with pumpkin, so a Canadian twist. But I want you to hear Diona describe the Filipino street food scene for you. Hopefully you're not going to be even more hungry after you listen to this.
Every day, every single day, we eat street food. Like when we go out from school, or when you're just walking, going to the market, buying stuff, like everywhere, every corner, there's always a street food. Green mangoes with some shrimp, baby shrimp, anchovies, or, like those grilled bananas or plantains in here. Or they can be either like a sweet potato coated with sugar, deep fried, and on sticks. So they're the camotes. There's the turons. It's like again, like similar to a plantain, but wrapped in spring rolls, deep fried with caramelized with sugar. The green mangoes with sometimes they do it like with a vinegar, with a spiced vinegar dipping, or some anchovies on the side, or just plain salt.
Oh boy, you're killing me here, Sarah. All right, you obviously can't get street food like that in Toronto, but where can you find it other than the underground market?
So Diona's company, Tita Flips, does cater for parties. Also, Diona and I went to a Chinese grocer where they sell a lot of Filipino products, and the place was stuffed with things that would be considered street food. I was astounded. I wasn't expecting that, even though we'd planned to go there together. There were fresh salted duck eggs in the cooler, and these would be.
What do they taste like?
I didn't buy one. I should have. But anyway, they were bright pink dyed eggs, duck eggs, quite large. And Diona explained that you would take them home and put them on a salad, or traditionally you would eat them on a boiled rice cake or a steamed rice cake.
Okay.
There were also the bags of chicharron. Those are those fried pork rinds. They're obviously probably from Spain. They came across through the colonial routes. Also, there were all these boxed mixes to make a category of rice cakes and desserts called kakanin. So if you know where to look, you can actually get a taste of these foods here. And don't worry, we will set everybody up with all these secrets on our website.
Okay, and on Twitter as well. And we should mention that this underground food market coming up on Saturday, probably sold out, I'm thinking?
Yes, but I understand that if you go to the website, there's details about how you can get in possibly later.
Or next month.
Or next month, yeah, next month, November. And stay tuned for more in the new year, too.
All right. And what do you got coming up next?
Oh, I don't know. I have so many stories cooking on my pot. I don't actually know which one's going to be next.
Okay.
I've eaten so much great food, honestly, in Toronto this last month. I have too many stories. I can't choose what's coming next.
Well, we await with bated breath. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sarah. Sarah Elton is our food columnist, and you can find her on Facebook. Just search for The Locavore or online at thelocavore.com. We're going to put all those tips on how to find this Philippine street food in our city on our website. And that address is cbc.ca/here and now Toronto.